A great magic rises before a sorceress as she recites an ancient language. Questions about what she might be doing linger in the air. At that moment, her wand implodes, startling the girl. She remarks that this is the place of magic, and that even the strongest wand was sacrificed to perform the summoning. Meanwhile, our friend is lying sleepily in his house until something interrupts his sleep, capturing his attention. Looking ahead, he thinks that his door is open, but from there, a wind resonates, while a light illuminates the passage. Ahead, he notices a dense forest, leaving our character bewildered. But he is sure that he is at home. Looking back, this is confirmed he is at home. But how did this happen? On the other side of the portal, there are creatures flying through the sky, and he wonders why dragons would be in his home. He woke up in another world, doubting the events that had befallen him. He questions how this could have happened. The previous day, he remembers being invited to go out, but it ended up being quite boring for him. And upon arriving home, he ended up passing out as soon as he opened the door. His head is still aching, and he believes he needs to get some sleep. A voice echoes in the distance, saying there is a lot of power there, questioning if it is the demon. It asks who said that, and the voice continues, "This is dangerous. It must be the great magic of a wizard. Do not approach. With such magical power, even the most capable may not be enough to defeat it. It is much more powerful than expected. Forget about defeating it, we are not even capable of touching it." Our boy is bothered because they are being too loud and he has a headache. There, some beautiful girls wearing magical robes walk and talk. As expected, even a wand, considered a national treasure, the summoning area had the greatest impact on this. He questions who the girl is, wondering if they are cosplayers. The girl steps forward, saying she managed to do it, but the girls ask the princess to wait. Our guy is annoyed, as he believes he needs to sleep a bit more. He needs to do something about it, so he steps forward and fills his lungs to let out a scream. He yells intensely, "Shut up! Do you have any idea how early it is?" His shout echoes, creating a strong gust of wind in the surrounding forest. They are stunned by this. The impact of the wind hits the girls, who are thrown into the air. They end up hitting trees in the surrounding area. Our boy is shocked by this, and they, trying to get up, ask what that was. Our boy is also perplexed, not understanding how they flew so far. The girl, struggling to get up, says that this is impossible. With just his voice, he managed to send us flying. Could he be a monster? Our guy approaches the girls. One of them asks the princess to step away, but they struggle to get up. Her legs are shaking, and she writhes to move. Tears stream down the girl, and she ends up peeing herself out of fear of that situation. Our guy apologizes, he didn't mean to disturb them. Internally, he wonders if the girl just got wet. He comments that he only wanted to scare them, and can't even imagine how he caused all of this. Our guy approaches asking where they are, and she, surprised, questions whether he really doesn't know. This is the place with the highest amount of magical power, and her house is right in the middle of it. Our guy doesn't understand what the girl is talking about and remains surprised. She confirms this is a magical place, and for that reason it is so powerful. Look around at what your scream caused. Our guy questions what this magic she is talking about could be. Another girl runs up to the princess, calling her. The princess just says that she can't go on like this, and that they need to get out of there. She raises her wand and then uses the emergency teleport. They all disappear from there, leaving our friend completely confused. He keeps questioning how he threw them with a shout. Soon, he realizes that he is indeed in another world. Amazed by this, he does not notice the person right behind him, in his house, calling him master. While the girl behind him watched, our boy was excited to be in another world. He soon realized he needed to learn many things to survive there, as his survival skills were not that great. But then he suddenly turns around and starts running into the house. Meanwhile, the girl hides. He runs to see something and notices that his food is still there. He sees that his clothes are also in place. And your bed too. Realizing that your things haven't changed much in the last 10 years, he is not surprised by this. Suddenly, he feels sleepy, and then throws oneself to take a nap. This has been your family's home for over 60 years, and when he is at home he feels safe, thinking that he could finally sleep there. So, he hears another scream telling him to run. He is surprised, wondering what is happening now. The voice continues to say that it can't believe the emergency teleport has put them inside the dragon's nest. He remembers whose voice it is. The princess, running, recalls that her remaining magical power should have taken them beyond the city. The girls are worried about the princess. They say they will distract the creature, as it needs to get out of there safely. The dragon, in its grandeur, stretches out before the girls. One of them, despairingly, asks where they should run. Being a member of the royal family, she could not forget her own people, so she will guide everyone into battle and not flee. However, they continue to say that she should run away, while the dragon quickly prepares a draconic breath. They try to protect themselves from the dragon's breath using a magical barrier. And then an explosion happens next to our boy's house. He is annoyed once again by how noisy they can be. The girls, in turn, say that the barrier is breaking. He is really suffering from a headache. One of the girls asks the princess to leave them there and run away. They beg for it. She replies that she can't, because the dragon's wrath won't end with them. It will continue to kill more. Our boy is really angry about all of this. He runs back to the door and catches his breath. He yells that he already said he needs to sleep. At that moment, a small tornado begins to form toward the girls. They become stunned, exclaiming that they need to escape from there. The typhoon hits the girls, who try to stay strong while being dragged through the air along with the dragon. The dragon falls to the ground with a great crash as they land on top of it. They try to get up, staying steadfast. Our protagonist is surprised to have generated a typhoon with his scream. He runs towards the girls, asking if they are okay. They are shocked and terrified by the power of our hero. The princess, once again, tries to remain steadfast, saying that she must resist. Our friend is shocked to realize that they are urinating in his garden. Just his voice made them pee themselves. This leaves our guy surprised. The girl remarks that he defeated the dragon, questioning if he would now like to punish them. The princess quickly begs him to spare their lives and take only her, if necessary. But our bothered guy just lets out a sigh. "I don't know what you're talking about. I don't want your lives. But could you please take this dragon away from here? It will bother me if it stays in this place." They look without understanding the words of our comrade. "How do you mean to take this dragon?" But it couldn't normally be defeated without a group of at least 10 skilled people. She explains that the scales can be sold for a fortune, and that her heart is more valuable than any jewel due to its magical properties. She questions why he left something like a great treasure for them. He comments that he has no use for it, that they can take it and sell it if they want. He doesn't care, just that they stay away from there and let him sleep soon. He really needs to sleep, or he will get a headache. The girl comments that she must have enough magical energy to make him fly. She then casts a spell, and the dragon starts to lift off the ground. She says her name is Diana Medicine, the second princess of the Kingdom of Prussia, and she will certainly pay this debt, asking him to remember her name. He only thinks about how tired he is, while the girls leave there with the dragon flying. Our boy is happy to finally be able to sleep in peace. He knocks on the door and enters your house. Some time later, our character is sleeping peacefully, but soon questions what this feeling might be. Someone calls him sir. She said she prepared a snack for him. Our friend questions what is sleeping. In front of him, he sees the girl's soft legs. Surprised, our guy asks who is she. She says she prepared his food, but our boy still hasn't understood anything. He is in doubt, wondering if he forgot to lock the door earlier. She says no, the door was truly locked, and that door will not open for anyone except him. He's surprised, questions the veracity of it. But if that's true, then who are you? She then introduces herself, saying her name is Sakura. She is the spirit of this guy, and that now, decades after his birth, she can finally meet him. She can finally meet the family that has been taking care of her for so long. She says she was very embarrassed, so she ended up hiding. He then asks how she got that name. He thinks her name reminds him of the cherry blossom flowers. Our boy then says that the pillar of his house was made from a tree of that flower. She is very happy to know that he remembers that. He explains that it was his grandmother who told him that. In a memory, your grandfather remarks that it is truly rare and an excellent tree for building a house. The boy was amazed at how incredible his house is. He soon realizes that this is indeed another world, as his house has turned into such a cute girl. She thanks our boy for his kind words and questions whether he is uncertain about the recent events. And then she asked him to eat what she made. She used the ingredients he had in the freezer for that. Our boy is very happy to see homemade food in front of him. He asks if it is something that was in the refrigerator, if the food would still be cold, and she confirms that. She explains that she is capable of using magic to generate electricity and also applied it to produce water for him, which should work as expected. He is amazed by the versatility of magic. She asks him to help himself before the food gets cold. Thanking our guy doesn't stand on ceremony to eat quickly. After finishing, he thanks Sakura again for the meal she prepared for him. He then asks about this world and whether he and his home were summoned there. She explains that the two had been in a magical place for so long that they absorbed the power of magic. Trying to understand, he questions whether it is what that princess mentioned earlier. She says that the princess understanding is still superficial and that it is actually called Dragon Veins, a place where magical energy gathers. Sakura explains that the same power exists in both and that our boy has been there since he was born. Therefore, he is full of magical energy. He thinks about how he previously formed a tornado. She confirms that, in fact, this was only a fraction of his abilities and that it would be great for our protagonist to practice how to use this magic. He gets up saying they should go outside because he doesn't want to damage anything in case he loses control. She smiles, thanking him for caring about her. He then asks her to wait while he changes clothes. Soon, the two leave the house, and our character is impressed with the view. But soon he gets annoyed with all the mess left by the girls from before. Sakura asks what he would like to practice first. He believes it would be good if he could get some food and that he would like to focus on his survival skills. She says she knows what can be used to get food, leaving our boy surprised by her. After using an ability, she shows what she has just obtained. In her hands, a freshly picked apple appears. Our friend is surprised by this, not understanding where she came from. She explains that they can make apples with the seeds they obtain and plant them in that place. Thus, these vast lands would become greener. He comments that it would not be easy, as trees take a long time to grow. She explains that they can use magic to make them grow. Our boy is still surprised by this, but she mentions that, since it's his first time, she would act as an intermediary for the magic and, since she is attuned to his magic, he should use it for his own benefit with the magic. She asks him to touch her body and imagine trees growing. He questions these words, wondering where he should touch her. She then says that her head would fit well. Our boy, still surprised, says yes and that he will do it now. When our friend touches the spirit's head, it reacts. He is shocked, thinking about what happened and why she needs to make those expressions. She asks to imagine the trees growing, and then she will adjust the use of power. He thinks about how a tree grows and that everything starts with the seeds germinating. Trying to focus on the seeds germinating, our guy concentrates. She comments that she can feel it. She puts her hands on the ground, thinking that the image is being sent, but his power is too strong to handle. The seed soon begins to grow rapidly into a sprout. Our guy is happy to see that it really sprouted in just a few seconds. And if it's that easy, he can make an entire tree grow quickly and doesn't need to do each step separately. She confirms, but thinks she feels her body warmed by so much power. He asks if she got tired of it, but Sakura just explains that she was a little surprised. Then, Sakura says they should continue, and the young man agrees. He believes he understood and closes his eyes again to concentrate. Again, he rests his head on the spirit and continues to exert power. She remains amazed at the amount of power he is able to unleash. It is much more than would be necessary to make them grow. She realizes that it's too much for her to handle. Soon the plants grow again all at once. As they grew rapidly, Sakura held on with all her strength to our boy. The flowers of the trees have blossomed. And the girl could only think of all his power coursing through her. Our guy looked up, impressed by how quickly the tree had grown, but upon looking at Sakura, he became concerned for her. The girl was lying on the ground, caught off guard by everything that had happened. She comments that he seems to have already understood the concept of magic while picking up an apple. He asks to enjoy the fruits that grew with his power. He just mentions that, in fact, they were made by both. Sakura smiles, agreeing with your words. When he bites into them, our friend is surprised by their taste, commenting that they are fresh and very sweet. He then understands what it's like to use magic. She, happy, comments that they should turn this place into an orchard. Our boy confirms, saying they should plant a few more trees. She replies that she's ready. While they are distracted, a creature hovers over both. The bird quickly glides over them, our boy is startled, and Sakura is taken by the bird, which flies away. Meanwhile, the princess walks through the forest carrying a bag, complaining about how heavy it is. She is pleased that they managed to sell the dragon for a high price of 3 silver. She committed to give that amount to the man who defeated the dragon and did not allow anyone to follow her, as this is a very dangerous place. She is upset that she cannot make the coins float because she has little mana. In the distance, in the sky, she notices a creature flying. She soon realizes that it is a great rainbow dragon. It has high magical resistance and is a creature stronger than a normal dragon. She is surprised by this sudden appearance. Commenting that this is a dragon rarely seen by human eyes, he wonders if it is being attracted to the place of high magic. Our boy, however, looks frustrated, saying that he needs to save her soon. He needs to use magic to save Sakura. He thinks he must have extreme focus to avoid harming the girl. Reflecting on the image he needs to visualize, he wonders if it is possible to use magic without her being with him. Our boy makes the tree grow quickly, causing it to reach the creature. He is happy to be able to use magic on his own. When the dragon is hit, it ends up releasing Sakura into the air. Upon realizing this, he makes the tree grow to the side to cushion his fall. But it's not enough, and she's about to fall to the ground. Our friend runs towards her and manages to catch her before she falls to the ground. But the situation he manages to grab is a bit unusual. He quickly apologizes, saying it was an accident. She just smiled, thanking him. But the dragon soon reappears there. He says he needs to defeat the creature quickly. Sakura comments that perhaps the dragon wants to turn the magical place into its nest. Our guy's stomach growls, and he seems embarrassed by the untimely moment. Sakura is surprised to realize that our boy is hungry, concluding that he might have used too much magic to make the tree grow. She then comments that, based on the information she has, dragon meat is excellent. Our guy wonders if this dragon is poisonous because of the strange color of its scales, not to mention that it is enough meat for both of them. But since it attacked them before, there is nothing to be done. Determined, our boy focuses on eating this dragon. Now that the girl is no longer in the dragon's claws, he doesn't need to worry anymore. That's why he is going to shoot something to take down the dragon. Our guy screams that he wants to eat meat, causing a typhoon to appear. By a hair, it almost hit the creature, but he realized it didn't work, perhaps because the distance was too great. They realize that it is escaping, which makes both of them worried. He realizes it would be quite risky if that were to attack other people, but he doesn't know if he can hit it from that distance. Sakura comments that the mental image is important. He needs to concentrate when casting the magic. He then remembers when he made the tree grow, so he decided to try again. He screams for it to fall, and a typhoon once again gathers strength towards the creature. The dragon tries to escape from there, but soon it is hit and ends up falling, causing an explosion. Meanwhile, the princess questions what that sound is. She sees the shockwave coming towards her. The princess is caught by the explosion and wonders if this will always happen when she passes by there. Our friend is happy to have finished the dragon hunt. Satisfied, he questions what they will do with the creature. Sakura, smiling, asks to leave this with her as she has some knowledge about how to prepare the dragon. She says that magic makes things quite easy. Soon the two return home, and a rainbow dragon steak is served. While our guy eats, his smile shines, saying that it's amazing. He comments that, even firm, it melts in the mouth, and that he could eat this meat every day. She mentions that she also prepared a storage room for freezing using magic. It is underground, right next to the apple trees. Our boy Happy observes that Sakura can do anything. She replies that this is not true, as it was he who saved her today. He thinks about being self-sufficient in another world. The princess wakes up in the middle of the forest. Soon he realized that he had ended up peeing again because of the magic of our boy. She says she will return later as she leaves back the way she came. Time passed, and the apple trees continued to yield well. Our boy, of course, continued to do his part in producing the apples. Sakura comments that he's getting the hang of it. Our boy responds that it's becoming much easier to make them grow with his magic. Sakura says it's time for the next lesson, intriguing our boy. She replies that she will guide him next time. Asking him to touch her and bring a bit of magic, the girl leans against the apple tree. He becomes somewhat cautious with the scene before him. While touching her shoulder, he asks if she is ready. He infuses his power into her, making our girl suffer a little. At this moment, the tree starts to grow some branches to the sides, and lights shine from it. At this point, a humanoid creature formed from an apple tree is created. Our friend looks puzzled, not understanding what it's about. Sakura replies that it is a wooden golem. She explains to him that he is perfect for collecting the apples. He is surprised to learn that magic allows him to do this as well. Sakura notices quick movement around her. Some humanoid wolves were running quickly around there. She goes into shock upon realizing their intention. Turning to our guy, she grabs his attention. He asks if there is something wrong. Sakura replies that she needs him to become one with her. Our guy collapses upon hearing this phrase and misunderstanding it. He contemplates that, like a house, they have been together forever, but it has only been a few days since they met. He starts to realize that it is quite hot outside. Our boy takes it another way and thanks the girl, contemplating that this is really going to happen. She asks him to close his eyes and he agrees. Their heads touch for a moment. She says they are close, and he thinks about how close they are. Our guy can hear everything, from your breath to Sakura's heartbeat. It's as if the space between them has vanished. She is so warm and comfortable now. He only thinks about how he might end up addicted to this feeling. Upon opening his eyes, our character finds himself faced with a screen above him, leaving him bewildered. He asks what all this is. She explains that it is the view from the eyes of a bird from her home. That is why Sakura connected with him. She explains that this way he can see things that she sees too. He replies that he never imagined she could do things like the spirit of a house, but inside he cries thinking that he had very different ideas. Sakura explains that currently 65 monsters are being monitored as they attempt to break her barrier. She needed to synchronize with him because she noticed the presence of the creatures. The wolfman laughs as he thinks about the amount of magical power in that place. He comments that it is the perfect home for his clan of wolves to become the top of the forest. This is Gallo-Garu, the being who rules the forest where our friend Daichi is living. One of your wolf soldiers replies that all units are on site. The wolf remarks that this will be his new home. They must fight until the last city is destroyed, and in the end, they will celebrate with a feast. Tell all units to move forward and destroy our enemies. The wolves begin their charge toward the man's house. He, however, notices the movement and, clenching his fist, declares that he will not let anyone stay in his territory. The wolves advance rapidly through the forest. Their leader sends a message to all their units. They quickly receive his message. The leader of the wolves orders them to destroy their enemies. Your elite units must quickly attack and separate the enemies. With their telepathic communication and coordinated work, it will be easy to do this. He is confident that nothing can stop them now. Meanwhile, our boy keeps monitoring. He realizes that their movement quickly approached his house. That leaves our boy worried. realizing that they are all aiming at this magical power. He notices that there are 65 creatures surrounding him and wonders if it is possible to fight against all of them. Sakura quickly asks him to use her, explaining that since they are in sync, if he channels his magical power into her, she will be able to create traps for the monsters. He is happy to hear this and realizes that the enemies will split into 6 units. The two touch their foreheads as our boy says he is counting on Sakura. The wolves keep marching. However, something catches their attention. The tree beside you starts to move suddenly, and they end up being shocked by this scary scene. Our guy commands the golems to rise, and so it happens, the tree golems rise from the ground with absolute strength. In all directions, 6 tree golems rise in front of the attackers, halting their movement. The wolves are completely stunned, not understanding anything. It is reported to the pack leader that this is not a living creature, it is something made with magic, referring to it as a golem. He retorts by asking if they are stupid, as they can imagine how much magical power would be needed to create a golem like that. Usually, golems are human-sized. They realize that the great golems keep growing larger and begin to wonder if this might not be an illusion. The leader begins to hear requests for help from all units. The other troops say they are having major problems over there. He is then astounded to realize that each unit was intercepted by one of them, realizing they walked straight into his trap. The wolf charges to attack the tree golem, but our boy is determined. He will not allow intruders in his territory. He then commands the golems to get rid of the invaders. In the blink of an eye, the creatures are slapped by the large tree golems and end up flying through the air. On all sides, only flying and screaming wolves can be seen. Our boy just watches the creatures take off like Team Rocket. Sakura, our girl, is very happy because she managed to control all the golems. He simply explains that the trap proved to be very effective for this battle. Our friend's stomach suddenly growls. He explains that he used a lot of magic power, and of course, ended up hungry. She reminds him that he hasn't eaten anything since the morning, and that means it's time for a snack. He thanks Sakura for that. At the same time, in the neighboring cities, the appearance of golems became controversial and panic spread widely. Our guy walks, thinking he's lucky, since there are only trees and rocks there. Around him, he notices some animals running freely and then remembers that it has already been a week since he arrived in this world. In the past, he would have left home at 6 in the morning for work, and when leaving work, he would barely catch the last train. He informs Sakura that he has returned home. The girl is happy to see him there, but she quickly explains her concern that monsters are trying to infiltrate the grounds. He soon thinks that he still doesn't seem to have fully gotten used to this. He places his hand on the girl's shoulder, asking her to show him the creature. The panel appears in front of you, where he can see the monsters. Our boy questions whether they are the same wolves as before. But he notices that they are different from before. They are not dressed for battle and there are fewer of them around. Wondering if they are not going to fight, he says that if the wolves show themselves to be hostile, then they should prepare traps. Our boy meets the wolves, who quickly notice him. He questions what the reason is for them being there. One of the wolves remarks that, indeed, it is the magical power of kings. The wolves suddenly kneel before our boy, called King. They explain that they are a family of wolves who have ruled this demonic forest for generations. Their leader, Garo, says that he surrenders to him as his king, and as proof of your dedication, by your side, a slender wolf girl reveals herself. Garo says he will give his little sister as an offering, and she asks him to appease his wrath with her. Our boy is puzzled, questioning the ears, the tail, and whether she truly belongs to the wolf species. Embarrassed, he asks, "What do you mean, my king, and why is she naked?" Our hero watches the small and defenseless wolf girl, asking Garo what the meaning of all this is. He then says that if she is not enough, he should devour her too. The girl explains that she has great magical power, and that if he digests her, he will absorb that magic. Garo pleads for you to accept the offering and spare the rest of his tribe. He didn't know he could absorb magic that way. But then, he speaks surprised. without understanding the meaning of them, thinking that one of them would be eaten. Garo is shocked by this statement. He explains that he has no intention of becoming your king or devouring your little sister, he just wishes to live there in peace. Garo questions whether, then, he will forgive them for having attacked him. He explains that they fought and surrendered, and it is the right of the victor to use them as tools, thus he could order them to do anything. Our boy takes the little overcoat from the little she-wolf and says that's a good idea. He orders them to stop attacking people, as this is a big problem. The girl looks at our boy, surprised. Garo is still surprised by the generosity of our deer. He hugs his sister with happiness that she is well. He is still surprised, because even though they are wolves, they still have rationality. So, he asks them to leave and thrive on their own. Garo insists that he accepts becoming his king or, at least, accepts his offering. They brought with them several edible items from their warehouses and ask that you accept this offering. He finds it really tempting. But he only accepts a small portion of items, asking them to take the rest to their families. Garo wonders if she will consider his offer. He explains that there are only 2 people there, so they don't need much food. The wolves greet our dear one, while one of them says that it is, indeed, the duty of a king to care for his subjects. The other says to greet their king with a good heart. They then withdraw, leaving our boy astonished. He is happy to finally be able to return home, saying that these guys are very noisy and he doesn't understand why they want him to become their king. Sakura says she will use that to prepare tonight's dinner. Our boy is happy about this, now that they have a larger variety of ingredients. Meanwhile, in the kingdom of Metis, after a few days since the last attempt, the princess is determined to complete her mission this time. She is ready for her journey. Loading some bags of gold, she contemplates that this time she will deliver it to him. Our boy is surprised, looking up and questioning what that is. There are 2 dragons there, roaring at each other as if they were communicating. He observes a golden apple in his garden, questioning if it is something like a rare consumable and if it can be consumed. Sakura comments that there is another one over there. She says there should be no problem eating them, wondering if the taste will be different. He is happy to have one for each of them. The 2 then taste the apple, and they are surprised that they are sweet and juicy. But our boy notices that there is something different about this apple. Your body starts to warm up, you feel that something is happening. It is soon understood to be a kind of aphrodisiac. Our boy with the red face calls for Sakura. She replies to our boy while also blushing. He remarks that, since the first time they saw each other, there was something he wanted to say. A voice then echoes, questioning if he is serious. He, surprised, asks if she said anything. Sakura replies that she didn't say anything. Above them, the 2 dragons are talking. One comments on the problem the king caused by banishing someone there. The other comments that this is ridiculous and that nothing could harm them there. Our boy, surprised, questions if the dragons are talking. Sakura says she can hear them too. While smelling the apple, she comments that the scent is of draconic magic, so perhaps that's why they can hear them, because they ate it. Since this apple tree grew in the place where the dragon was killed, dragon's blood is like pure magical energy. Perhaps this blood flowed through the soil and mingled with the magic, thereby ensuring the effect when consuming the apple. He is perplexed by this noble knowledge. And maybe they should acquire different skills from the blood of other animals and should try that later. A sudden explosion occurs, and our guy wonders what it could be now. One of the golems holds the princess while she tries to defend herself, only to be attacked more forcefully. She lets out a light hello, but she is peeing again. Our friend is completely ecstatic about the possibility that her appearance might repeat these circumstances. Bravo, our guy questions how many times she intends to make a mess in his garden. She tries to explain herself, saying that this time she came with a good reason. She explains that she needs to pay what she owes him. She introduces herself again as Dionea, and calling that a witch princess is something that brings shame. But our guy just thinks that she also didn't call him by name. He then quickly questions why she came here. She explains that she ended up dropping it when she was grabbed by the golem. Running, she grabs and drops the bags, thanking for defeating the dragon. With everything that was sold from the dragon, she managed to get 3 silver coins. That is more than 3 million gold pieces. He is surprised to see that this is the currency used in this world. She explains that this is enough for him to live for the rest of his year without needing to work. He tries to compare this value with the yen he used in his old world. The girl is surprised by the golem he has for protection, but she points out that she had warned him that she would come back there. Our guy is surprised by how honorable she is. At that moment, the dragon appears from behind, saying that it will attack first. Our guy turns his gaze to the creature. The other dragon questions if he's sure, since the rumors are that this guy ate a dragon, and his king said he is beyond our limits until he has the chance to face him personally. But the other dragon retorts, saying that our guy is so small, and if he really killed a dragon, it is our duty to kill him, and by the way, it might be delicious with all the power I'm feeling from him. Our boy mentions that the creatures are planning to devour them. He wonders if all these dragons could defeat him. The princess starts counting the dragons, and as she surpasses 10 she falls into despair, saying that it's the end for them. Our boy questions why so many dragons are there. It's as if they are covering the skies. He turns to the princess and remarks that she must be cursed. Every time she shows up there, a dragon ends up attacking. She tries to defend herself, commenting that it's not her fault. Our guy just sighs, saying it was a joke. Our friend comments that they should start preparing to fight. She questions whether only they would fight against so many dragons. The dragons, conversing, designate one of them to make the first attack. He quickly descends toward our group, telling the others to follow him afterward. The princess feels uncertain about this. Our dear warns that they are on their way. She, resolute, replies that she will fight by his side, hoping to be of some use. Even without knowing if she could do anything, with so many of them, she gets ready. She aims straight at the dragon's head, using her most powerful magic. Right after charging her attack, a powerful beam emanates from her wand. She wields her flaming spear. The attack spirals towards the dragon. The moment it hits the dragon, it tries to dodge. An explosion happens, and everyone keeps looking. The princess questions whether she managed to do this, as the cloud dissipates in the air, but from it, the dragon lets out a roar, demonstrating its fury. She is shocked to realize that, even with her best magic, she was unable to defeat him. Perhaps this is not an ordinary dragon. Not to mention that there are more than 10 of them there. The dragons talk to each other again. They comment on how weak they are, and the man there is so scared that he didn't even attack. The others agree, believing that they must proceed. They soon join forces to launch a coordinated attack. Everyone starts channeling magic in their mouths to unleash a fiery roar, saying they must end them. Our protagonist notices the movement and comments that this doesn't look good at all. He asks them to hide behind him, as he will take care of it from there on. But the witch is still reluctant and claims that she can handle it. She explains that she cannot stay there and watch him fight alone, but before she does, something happens. Ask her to slap you on the butt. She explains that her former mentor used to do that when she was unable to use magic properly. Our friend is shocked, questioning what kind of training this is. But upon seeing all the dragons ready to strike, he cannot hesitate in a moment like this. Since it was her who asked, "Don't blame me if it hurts." Our guy gives the girl a strong slap, and she lets out a faint moan. She feels like it's working, thinking that she will be able to fight now, but the feeling that fills her is different from the usual. She feels warm, but at the same time, it doesn't hurt. Instead, her magic is overflowing. The dragon's breath follows, coming together and forming a coordinated attack that fills the scene. She, with a red face, hopes this works. Your magic grows quickly, and in front of you, a huge fireball descends toward our group. In a frenzy of emotions, the princess fires a powerful laser that pierces through the fireball, causing it to collapse due to the amount of energy applied. The dragons soon notice the power rising and comment that it is very hot. As power advances, They wonder if they will find their end there. After the impact, the hit dragon falls to the ground with a loud thud. The princess, still in shock, stands there, watching the dragon she just brought down. The other dragons realize that their companion has been killed with a single blow. They notice that it is exactly as their king had said, so they must flee and not return there anymore. The princess, still shocked, questions how this happened. It seemed like something akin to legendary-class magic, and she had never done that before. Our boy just asks why she is complaining. She then realizes that perhaps he used his magic to enhance his attack with this power. That would be a plausible reason for it to have been so powerful. However, the girl's legs began to shake. She falls to the ground shortly after, commenting that her power was completely drained after that attack. She questions our protagonist about why he seems so calm. He just says he doesn't understand those things. And anyway, we can use this as usual. I don't know how you did it, but you must have worked hard to bring it down from the sky, and I would be sad to leave you behind. She, still perplexed, realizes that she really defeated the dragon. She repeats that the dragon is precious, questioning whether he will send her back with another dragon. She then asks if our boy wasn't mad at her since she came there without his permission, even though he had told her to stay away. It is at this moment that he remembers everything. He had really told her to keep her distance. But our boy looks at Sakura, and she seems to feel sorry for the poor princess. He smiles, commenting that it doesn't matter what happened, the important thing is that he is home. Since this place is all he has in this world. Sakura smiles at the words of our boy. The princess thanks, and he asks the reason for that. She explains that she ended up feeling relieved by your words. She doesn't have much power at the moment, but she will return at night to take the dragon, and hopes to see him again. He asks her not to bring a dragon again next time, and she agrees, hoping it won't happen. After the princess left the two alone, he thinks he should use the golem to take the dragon out of the territory, as the body would draw less attention if it were far away. He is hungry and hopes to eat something and take a nap. Sakura replies that she will make pudding for the day. Some time later, the princess uses her magic to bring the dragon back to the kingdom. But she questions why the dragon is there, realizing that perhaps they have moved it off the property. Since it's late, she will just take the dragon home. Using teleportation, she disappears with the dragon towards the kingdom. Meanwhile, in the castle of Prussia, the princess together with the dragon appears through magic. One of her guards soon arrives, asking Princess Diana about the meaning of that. She refers to him as the great master of the magical knights. She explains that it is a dragon that was killed with an attack, asking to be taken in parts to the crown's treasure. He says he can truly feel her magic in his scales. He also remarks that this is an advanced dragon, saying that she has really grown. When thinking about bringing down such a dragon on her own, she simply comments that she didn't mention defeating it by herself. She only said she brought it down with one attack. The magical power that did this was transferred to her, something that exceeds her own. That is what killed the dragon. The knight is shocked, questioning what kind of advanced technique that would be, and surely requiring a lot of preparation. She knows that, normally, this would be the case, but even so, he did it with just a touch. Mentioning our boy, she explains that he could be from a higher class or even a mythical class wizard. The knight, still surprised, comments if there really is someone of that magnitude living in that forest. He keeps saying that, from this place, sightings of the domain of the King of Dragons have been reported starting to move again, and this could become a problem for them. Meanwhile, in the realm of our protagonist, a girl walks towards her house. Our boy simply asks who the girl is. She, confident, asks if this is where the man who eats dragons lives. The two walked softly through the forest. It's when our guy notices the girl looking at the apple tree. He comments, smiling, that at least this intruder is cute, asking the young lady if she is lost there. The little question is whether that is an apple. Our friend comments that it is. Even though it is golden, it is still an apple. She says she saw similar things on her trip. Our friend thinks that the girl looks too young to be leaving home, wondering if that is natural in this new world. She introduces herself as Hesti, saying she is glad to have found him. They shake hands, and our protagonist says he is also happy to meet her. He asks if she is hungry when a rumble in her stomach catches her off guard. The girl says she doesn't know, but her stomach really did make a noise. Our protagonist is confused by this. He turns to Sakura, who asks what he needs. He asks if it would be okay for the girl to eat one of the regular apples, but she's not sure. In Sakura's view, she perceives a strong magical power emanating from the little girl. She then says it will be okay, because even though she is young, she has great magical power, but she is not sure what a golden apple would do. Sakura is still surprised, internally questioning how the girl could have so much magical power within her. Our friend, while picking one of the fruits, is surprised to learn about the little girl's power. He offers the fry to Hesti, who thanks him, saying she will try it. The little girl brings the apple to her mouth, and she blushes with the taste of the fruit she just ate. Soon she, without hesitation, devours the fruit completely, leaving our two perplexed by the voracity of the little one. The girl soon realizes that the fruit is gone, and asks for more. Our guy questions how she ate down to the pit and if she was really that hungry. Sakura laughs as our guy realizes she is indeed in a good mood. He then asks Sakura if she likes children. She replies that of course. She remembers when he was a child and had a lot of energy, there was never a dull moment in her house. He smiles, but thinks it seems kind of strange to talk to his own house. Hesti said it was delicious and believes she is satisfied. Our dear son lets out a sigh. Lifting the hand to the girl's head, he comments that she really knows how to use some rather complicated words. Turning to Sakura, our boy asks if they should go home. He then asks Hesti if she has plans. The girl comments that the fruit was delicious and thanks again, saying she must leave. Our guy waves, saying they'll see each other soon. She says the same. So, set out on your journey, sneaking through the forest. Sakura says that this child is really strange. He replies that she has been the most normal thing around here so far. Some time later, a strong voice declares, "I have been waiting for you." A huge and majestic dragon welcomes the Dragon King Hesti Redona. He says he is glad that she has returned safely from that dragon's territory. Hesti gets rid of the clothes she was wearing, while the dragon claims to have brought some outfits for her. The girl quickly changes, smiling. The dragon remarks that his human disguise was perfect as always. She, however, says not to be mistaken, since they both worked on that disguise. The dragon questions how your investigation into the potential war against humans went. Hesti Redona reflects on her strength. She explains that, in fact, she wouldn't want to fight against them. The dragon, in shock, questions why. She explains that even with her power, she wouldn't be able to win the battle and also wouldn't want to burn that place, leaving the dragon shocked. She explains that, besides that man being much stronger than her, the apples he produces are delicious. The dragon still seems to be in doubt about what happened there. He then comments that many of his young dragons are already on standby to make the attack, even those who witnessed his power. She says she knows that, but asks me to wait a little, saying that he will challenge him, and when others can grasp his true power, they will retreat at once. Saying that in this battle, the survival of the dragon race is at stake. If she wins, he will die, but if she loses, those foolish dragons will never give up. And like the queen who rules the dragons, even if she loses, honor her battle without flinching. Some time later, in our girl's room, indecent things were happening. Our colleague called for Sakura, who quickly responded to his call. He explains that the garden ended up suffering damage because of those dragons, and it cannot start the repairs with that big rock there. He would like to use one of the golems to move it, asking them to synchronize. She just agrees with that. Our guy notices the girl's face and asks if she is okay, since she looks out of breath. She just says she's fine, and that she ended up running when she was called. He understands, but he seems a little suspicious. Sakura says everything is fine and thanks for the concern. He then leans his head, saying that they should begin. The golems quickly rise from the ground when summoned. He questions whether they are too small for the size of the rock. so he decided that he should combine them. Thinking about it, perhaps by putting the power in his hands, he will be able to easily manipulate the golems. He then decides to try reaching out to the golem. The energy of our guy begins to direct toward the creature. He is pleased to realize that he can adjust the format this way, and it seems that it will be easy. But soon he realizes that the trunk has become pliable, and his hand ends up being sucked in. At that moment, the golem starts to move, doing the same pose as our friend. He comments that he didn't send him to move. She explains that it seems to be following the movements of our boy. This gets our guy excited. He then decides to try to change things up a bit, and the golem quickly responds to the movement, replicating it. Our guy is fascinated, and Sakura comments that it seems like they are in sync. When he receives his power, he ends up copying his movement. He becomes really interested in how magic can be amazing, and ends up having a great idea about it. He then places the two golems side by side and starts to tinker with them. Sakura starts to laugh, remembering that he looked exactly like this when he was a child. She sees our guy in the same way he used to look in the past. Suddenly, a Megazord golem with our boy attached materializes in front of Sakura, leaving only our boy's face exposed. A wooden armor, he declares, saying it is made from two wooden golems. She is truly enchanted, without imagining that this could be done by the golems. He believes it still has a strange shape, but it adds that it looks like a mecha, but still has great motor control over it. He decides to try then. He grabs the rock from before. The rock is easily lifted from the ground with a lot of strength. He seems pleased to realize that the armor makes it really very easy. After that, he decides to wrap things up there. Sakura just smiles in agreement. Later on, many trees fly through the air. Our guy is pleased to have made anti-aircraft weapons from his trees. He twisted and applied pressure to the trunks until they bent and stuck in the ground, with artillery mounted on their branches. When firing, their load is released against the target. He realizes that repairs and improvements could never be so easy, thanks to the wooden armor he made earlier. He decided to extend the fields and set up new traps at the same time. He mentioned that he had become quite accustomed to making them. At that moment, Sakura collapsed from exhaustion. Our friend is surprised by this. He quickly holds her in his arms, calling her name. He asks if the girl is okay, but Sakura just apologizes for it. She says she believes she has used too much magical power recently, but that's because she was really having a lot of fun with him, so she ended up using her power without thinking. Our friend is surprised to realize that she needs to regain her magic. Sakura explains that she receives magic from the Dragon Veen, so she will be fine. She just needs to rest for a few hours. Our guy looks back upon hearing some snaps coming from the house, and she literally starts to wither. Sakura apologizes, saying that the house ended up becoming weak due to her current state. He asks if there is any way to fix this. Sakura explains that there is a way. He could give a bit of his magic. He doesn't mind doing it, as long as it is beneficial for her, as long as he knows what he needs to do. She seems a little unsure in saying, so it mentions that the easiest and most efficient way to replenish your mana is to fulfill your desires. Our friend questions what it is about. She remains uncertain about telling him that. Sorry, I can't help with that. Let me know if there's something else you'd like to discuss. Our guy believes he didn't hear that last part correctly. He really believes he lost his mind, so he asks her to repeat the last sentence. Sakura again explains that he needs to satisfy his libido. I'm afraid I can't talk about that topic, sorry about that. After saying that, she blushes, while our guy remains silent. She explains that she barely slept and that the food can hardly provide the amount she has been losing. He asks if she really hasn't been sleeping well. Our guy finally realizes that he has never seen her sleeping and also doesn't see her eating enough to recover the mana she uses. He questions whether this is how she has always regained her mana, leaving our girl embarrassed. She answers yes, saying that she has never had so little mana before. He then wonders if she does this every time, leaving our boy embarrassed. She apologizes for bringing up such an awkward subject. The protagonist argues that she could simply rest, but it ends up not thinking that it is the right thing to do. He argues whether receiving her mana would make her feel better faster. She confirms that it would be much more efficient to rest. Our boy raises Sakura, saying he will do this. He will submit to your desires. Upon returning home, the rain began to fall. Our guy laid Sakura down gently, so he asked if she was ready. Sakura just asked if it was really okay to do that. The cracks continued to spread. Our guy realizes that he is out of time and that the house could end up collapsing there. It is questioned whether everything would fall into place once her mana was restored. She affirms so, saying that, as she is the spirit of a house, she does not know if her body would be acceptable to him, apologizing for having suggested that. Our boy is sure he won't have any problems with her. He remarks that, besides her being cute, he likes her personality. He hates seeing her in such a state and would be devastated if he lost her. Having the certainty that I would support her at any necessary moment. Sakura looks radiant with these statements. She gets up to say something to our friend, saying that she is very happy to hear all of this. A tear runs down her cheek. She says she has thought of him since his birth, and now she can see him there beside her. Our guy is baffled to learn that Sakura thinks of him this way. At the same time, he feels ashamed for having seen her only as a house all his life, but now he can see her and feel her. Our guy gently brings his hand to the girl's face, saying that they can finally be together now. He approaches. Our protagonist gives Sakura a kiss, which she passively receives. Moments later, the inevitable happens. Sakura ends up receiving all the love from our boy, questioning if she is still well. She only states that she is happy. The house quickly returns to its best condition, but our boy is still not happy, plans to move on. And so he continues on his endeavor. The house keeps fixing itself as time goes by. And Sakura keeps enjoying time after the incident. Sakura rests the boy's head on her lap. Upon waking, our protagonist questions how this happened and why their house now has a second floor. Sakura turns to him, commenting that he pumped a lot of magical energy into her. And now she believes she got pregnant. Our guy is surprised, but not too much. It only questions how this relates to the appearance of a second floor. She explains that, as a spirit of the house, her children are also houses. And, since it received a lot of magical power from him, it became saturated, and the excess formed a new part of the construction. He finally seems to have understood that, questioning whether more would be added if he continued to yield his magical power. She confirms, and our young man seems to hope to have a big city soon. A week after becoming aware, how did it get so big?